cancel exams was trending on Twitter. I feel they very well know what our opinion is.
It's hard for us. Our careers will have a major setback. So I don't think the examinations should happen.
It would be completely unfair for the students if they are forced to give the examinations in offline mode.
अभी पहले गवर्नमेंट को 18+ वैक्सीनेशन पर ध्यान देना चाहिए और एग्जाम कैंसिल कर देना चाहिए.
We don't have a positive mindset to concentrate on our studies when we are every moment thinking and praying for our family members to be safe.
दिल्ली सरकार किसी भी तरह की परीक्षा कराए जाने के पक्ष में नहीं. हमारी राय में ये वक्त परीक्षा कराने का नहीं है.
कि सुरक्षा हमारे लिए हर हालत में आपकी सुरक्षा हमारी पहली प्राथमिकता है और जो भी निर्णय होगा वो आपके हित में होगा, आपके जीवन के सुरक्षा की दृष्टि से होगा.
Good evening, I'm Pallavi Ghosh and this is a catch-22 situation. On one hand, students are worried about their future because many of them really want to start going abroad and join universities which have begun to open up. But there's a massive COVID scare. The second wave also saw a large number of children being affected. There's also talk of a third wave which is likely to hit the children the most because they are the only ones who are now being left unvaccinated. That's going to be our focus over the next half hour. The students and parents, in fact, across the country have also raised alarm over the boards. As sources say, the CBSE is going to go ahead with the examinations while the centre has left it to the states to take a final call. Union Education Minister Ramesh Pokhriyal chaired a high-level meeting with state representatives and has requested them to send their detailed suggestions by 25th of May. Maharashtra and Delhi, in fact, have already put a hold on exams as many states are planning to postpone them to September, while few others are looking at the option of reducing the subjects. As states continue to put together an action plan, while some are putting pressure on the centre and national boards for suspension, the big question over here remains is the infrastructure in place to safely conduct these critical examinations? First the story, and then we're going to move across to our guests this evening.
Imagine having spent the past year and a half away from the classrooms, away from schools, perpetually in fear of contracting the deadly virus. Close to 15 months of the most important phase of a student's life spent not knowing how the future will pan out. Now, as the CBSE and Education Ministry decides on the future of Class 12 board exams in the country, there's one hashtag dominating social media: cancel board exams. CNN News 18 spoke to students across the length and breadth of the country, and they all had one common fear: not exams, but the virus.
I don't think that there is a need to conduct offline exams for children right now.
हमारा अभी 18+ पूरा नहीं हुआ है, तो हम लोग को वैक्सीन भी नहीं मिल पाया अभी तक, तो हम लोग सबसे ज़्यादा vulnerable हैं.
I insist the university to conduct separate examination for admission and cancel the board in this unprecedented situation.
The CBSE has proposed two options to the Education Ministry. Under the first option, the National Board has proposed that examinations for the major subjects be held in the existing format and at designated examination centres. This exercise, though, would take up to 3 months, which in a pandemic is far from ideal. Under the second format, which will take only 45 days, the CBSE has proposed that Class 12 students sit for the major subject exams in their own schools or self-centres instead of designated centres. But this would mean doubling the number of exam centres. Students are very clear in their preference, though. They want alternative arrangements to be done.
Cancel exams was trending on Twitter. I feel they very well know what our opinion is.
It's hard for us. Our careers will have a major setback. So I don't think the examinations should happen.
It would be completely unfair for the students if they are forced to give the examinations in offline mode.
अभी पहले गवर्नमेंट को 18+ वैक्सीनेशन पर ध्यान देना चाहिए और एग्जाम कैंसिल कर देना चाहिए.
We don't have a positive mindset to concentrate on our studies when we are every moment thinking and praying for our family members to be safe.
State education ministers too are putting pressure on the Education Ministry and the CBSE to make radical changes to the exam plans.
दिल्ली सरकार किसी भी तरह की परीक्षा कराए जाने के पक्ष में नहीं है। हमारी राय में ये वक्त परीक्षा कराने का नहीं है।
सुरक्षा हमारे लिए हर हालत में आपकी सुरक्षा हमारी पहली प्राथमिकता है और जो भी निर्णय होगा वो आपके हित में होगा, आपके जीवन के सुरक्षा की दृष्टि से होगा।
राज्य की परिस्थिति को आपको ध्यान में रखना पड़ेगा और जिस तरह से हमारी सबसे बड़ी देश की प्राथमिकता आज ये है कि जो आज ट्रेंड जो आ रहा है वो पहला स्टैंड से आज का स्टैंड अलग है, तो हमें ऐसे ही कुछ सोल्यूशन पे जाना पड़ेगा जो बच्चों के हित में हो।
The top priority during a pandemic is to safeguard lives from the deadly virus. On the other hand, it is also important to safeguard the academic future of these children. But allowing exams offline like the pre-pandemic times would lead to health consequences. Scrapping of evaluation completely would lead to academic consequences. Now, it is crucial for the government to find that middle ground which does not lead to either of these consequences. Revati Rajavan in Bengaluru for CNN News 18.
And let's go across to all our guests this evening. We've got Harsh Ranjan. He's a grade 12 student and the one who must be worried the most. He's joining us from Ranchi. We've also got Dr. Shailesh Jain, who's joining us again from the National Capital, but he's also Director, Department of Lungs and Transplant Surgery. We have also with us Dr. C.B. Sharma, who's an educationist. Harsh, to you first. You want the exams to be postponed?
Yeah, preferably seeing today's condition, it would be better if they are postponed. But as the education minister said that they'll end as uncertainty, it would be preferable if they give us dates right now, even if they are postponing, because uncertainty is surely leading to anxiety.
Yeah, I can understand that. But you know, Harsh, there's also this worry, I know on one hand is that of COVID. So that's the reason why most of the students and the parents don't want an examination to take place now. But there's also this worry about future studies. You know, I mean, abroad universities have begun to open up and many of the class 12 students will have to go to colleges and from there maybe they want to go abroad for higher education. There's a sense and worry of losing out. Isn't that also a catch-22 situation? Isn't that also that worries many students like you, Harsh, that if, you know, exams are repeatedly postponed, then are we losing out?
Yeah, that's a very big problem actually. So what happened last year as well, one of my sisters, she was in grade 12th last year and her results got postponed and her college schedule got messed up. And this year, many students, many friends of mine, including me, are planning to apply to abroad universities. What happens is our application gets 99% complete with the essays and the interviews pending just because we cannot enter at 12th marks. So it would be, if it's possible right now, which is also being asked by a lot of parents and students, if they cancel the exams and prepare an alternative results on the basis of 10th, 11th and the performance that happened during offline school and online school during the course of last 2 years, that would be the best in my opinion.
That's very interesting. Dr. Sharma, you know, we've been mulling over several options and one of these options also which is being looked at is that don't expect students to actually go to their centers and give that examination. Either try and do it online, but let's do it a mix and match. Their internal assessment, let's do that, and that can be added on to the final marks or the scores for the 12th grade exam, something which even Harsh touched upon. You think this is doable?
Look, my first reaction would be that assessment and certification is not everybody's ball game. I am very surprised that as an educationist, everyone who has never assessed, never been in the evaluation process has great ideas about how to assess and how to certify. Don't forget, the boards have acquired all the prestige that they have in decades. Now, suddenly you want to say, okay, assess them on multiple choice, assess them on telephone, assess them on this, and hand over the certificate. What would IITs do? Would your students be admitted to foreign universities, and would you be able to give a ranking to the best students? I can definitely say, go and talk to those who have been preparing for all these good colleges for the last 4 or 5 years, and they will say, no, we want to sit for the exam and have a certificate which the world believes, trusts. Don't tamper with the assessment process. I am very, very surprised that today the decision has been taken. The day it was decided that 10th exams will not be held and 12th board will be assessed and examined on 1st of June and then declared, and the government also declared that we'll give you 15 days. What did we do? What exercise have we done till then? We have already spent almost 2 months. I had said on that date that start preparing now. Vaccinate all your 12th class students. Vaccinate all the teachers and the staff who would be on invigilation duty. We must do that preparation. So look, we are in a pandemic situation. I understand people are dying, people are suffering. There was a scarcity of oxygen. How long did you take to make oxygen available? Because that became an emergency. Are you waiting for an emergency? These students who would be given that certificate this year would be asked after 3-4 years, oh, are you 21-22 batch? You have not appeared for the exam. How can you assess? Look, an option has been given that assess for 20 papers and then extrapolate for other papers. How can you say that the boy has got 80 marks in English because he got 86
but Dr.
in physics?
Sharma, these are change times, and it's a change time not just for India,
Look,
but
Pallavi,
world over.
I will say we need to make preparation. There is a whole discipline of assessment and evaluation. One, consult the experts. Immediately form a task force on assessment on the 12th class. This is a sacrosanct certificate which we hold. You must be holding, I hold, everyone. This is the most important certificate in our lives. And we are admitted to higher education on the basis of this performance, not the result, the paper. IITs, that is why IITs don't trust your certificates. They have their own exams. Why? The government tried its level best to convince them that you admit a
So what
student
you're saying
on the
is,
basis of board
so what you're
results.
saying, Dr. Sharma, is that hold the examination, maybe not immediately, but definitely hold them at some point of time?
I have two suggestions, Pallavi. One, immediately have a task force with experts on assessment and evaluation. There are multiple methods of assessing students. They will tell you how to assess and give a certificate which is trustworthy. What do we write on that certificate? Go and read your certificate. It says, I hold you worthy of the certificate that you hold. The government decides, nobody is tell us, okay, do this and give them a certificate. No. Second, you have a University Grants Commission and a dozens statutory bodies in higher education to decide on norms and standards in higher education. Tell me of one regulatory body in school education which is a regulatory statutory body created by Parliament.
Okay.
Why hue and cry after 70 years? You have not really thought about the schools. There is not a single statutory body for school education.
That is something, I think, Dr. Sharma, I think that's something left to be debated for another day. The immediate concern,
so my suggestion would be immediately have a task force on the whole problem of assessing. See, it is also
Dr.
becoming
Sharma,
political.
that is, Dr. Sharma, let me just hold your thoughts over here. I'll just come back to you because, you know, I think the biggest problem at this point of time is something which students, the ones who are affected the most, are the ones talking about. That's exactly what Harsh talked about. That's talked about uncertainty. I mean, we don't know what is going to happen. Now, Dr. Shailesh Jain, is there ever going to be a right time to really safely hold these examinations? Because we are talking about huge number of children being affected in second wave. There's also talk of a third wave, which is likely to hit the children the most, simply for the reason that there is no vaccination for them. So, is there ever going to be a safe time? Or second, and these were some suggestions which I also saw on the social media timeline, is that you vaccinate the children whenever it happens and then you let them come and give the examinations. How practical is this?
Pallavi, as Dr. Sharma said, don't temper the assessment, but you can temper the life of a student. Pallavi, we have to understand, we are in extraordinary, unprecedented type of catastrophic situation.
Absolutely.
In second wave, our COVID cases number rise more than 500% as compared to COVID one wave. Number of mortality or the number of death in COVID second wave is more than 500% as compared to COVID first wave. Second, you have to consider life is life. Never weigh life with any other thing. In second COVID wave, Pallavi, as you said, we have seen number of young population who is getting affected. It is the life of the student that matters the most, not exam or career. You know, this pandemic has created fear among the students about their safety. As on today, we are the world second worst affected nation with COVID-19 cases, with total number of cases around 2.5 crore and total number of mortalities somewhere around 2.9 lakh. That is a big number. Today, in our country, we have a number of COVID cases around 2.5 lakh rupees. It is very hard to say when normalcy will come. As a COVID treating doctor, I personally feel for the next 15 to 20 days, we will have a number of COVID-19 cases in our country, somewhere around 1.5 lakh or 2 lakh population. If you really want to conduct the board examination for 12th class, I just need to ask four things. First is vaccination. Do you vaccinated your child? No, since vaccine is not available. Theoretically, if you will manage to get the vaccine from the America or Canada who is vaccinating their children, theoretically you need another 3 months to vaccinate your children. This is not only the student, this is your teachers also, supporting staff also, they are not also completely vaccinated, first. Second, as I earlier said, there is already younger population who is getting affected in second COVID wave. Third, school will be the super spreader. Take my point, school will be the super spreader. It is very hard to maintain the social distancing where a bunch of friends meet. I personally request to the government and all other public that please do not make the mistake which we did in the past by organizing the religious activity and political rallies. Fourth is mental stress. Child is too sensitive, they easily stressed out. How can you expect a child from a family, his father and mother is COVID affected, he will come for the examination? You have to understand that out of the 12 lakh children who is appearing for the 12th examination, if only, I am saying if only one or two child is getting COVID infected and died, for the education department, it might be just one child or two child among the 12 lakh population, 12 lakh student. But for that family, it is 100% mortality. You know, board and technically advisory committee is very intelligent. They have a very learned people in their committee. But I personally feel that physical examination is not at all possible at this present scenario.
Okay. So, Harsh, everyone has given their own suggestion. What is your suggestion? What can be done? You want to put it on hold for now, or you think that this option of internal assessment is something which can be looked at, or you have selected centers, new centers come up, or you reduce the number of subjects for the examination, but let's have it nonetheless?
So first of all, considering the two proposals that came out in the media today after the meeting, I would agree to none of them. The first one because we'll have to travel and that increases the risk of infection. The second one because even if you turn to me as a science student, even if you turn to an objective criteria of 1.5 hours, you cannot compare a paper of of mathematics with that of chemistry, which you can solve easily, and mathematics actually takes time. So even if you're reducing it, that does not make sense at all. And coming to internal assessments, in my opinion, that is the best option right now. I agree to Dr. Jain's point of what he said about the infections in students and how schools can be a super spreader. I think during the practical examinations which I appeared for from March onwards, there was a big mistake conducted on the part of the CBSE where they asked us to remove our masks for a photograph, which happened after the examinations. So that was like those 5 minutes were like super scary for all of us, because you have a group and you never know who is coming from where.
Exactly.
And coming to what about assessments and the legacy of boards and why IITs. So there was this one thing that I was hearing before the meeting, that competitive exams would be discussed today as well, but there's still uncertainty on that, because I personally appeared for the first two attempts of JEE Mains this year, and the other two are nowhere to be seen.
Okay, we're just going to start wrapping up now because we don't have too much of time. But Dr. Sharma, again to go back, you heard what Harsh said. I mean, internal assessment, you're saying it's not feasible, but keeping in mind that there are changed times, you know, world over, the situation is there. Why not use this opportunity to reorient our education system?
Well, I think that's a very good idea. Internal assessment and assessment should be left to the schools, but your schools are not ready. We have seen in the past, when you give certain portion of assessment to the school, everyone gets 99% marks. So what will happen when all your schools give 90%, 95% to their children to raise the standard of their school? How would you now handle this situation? So don't get into a situation where you will be in a mug. Now, I don't think you have only class 12 to be assessed and you have the whole school building available. Leave it to the principals, Pallavi. We don't trust our principals. Leave it to them and they'll do a meticulous job. They know how to do it. Give them the SOPs. let us work on it. Why do we not consider that the health of these 3 crore children who are going to appear from 12th across the country is very, very crucial. They are going to depend upon this certificate all their lives. Let it not become a political issue. As soon as the BJP government in center says we'll hold exam, all the non-BJP states start saying no, don't hold exam.
We are not even talking about politics on this. We are not even talking on politics on this.
Look, Pallavi,
I think
Pallavi, instead of becoming a pedagogic problem, instead of becoming an academic problem, this has become a political and a bureaucratic problem. Those who have nothing to do with assessment and evaluation, those who have never worked in this area are deciding on assessment. I'm very sorry to say. It's not a bureaucratic process. It's not an administrative process. It's not a political process. It's a pedagogic process.
Okay, fine. Fair enough.
We understand how
We are
to
just
assess
going to
and
be
how to
waiting.
certify.
I'm only hoping that the ministry comes out with certain amount of clarification, and at least for the sake of students like Harsh, this uncertainty ends soon. Many thanks, Dr. Sharma. Thank you very much, Harsh. All the best to you, and thank you very much, Dr. Jain, as well. So that is something which we'll have to wait for the Education Ministry to come out with a statement, and in fact, that's what the minister also said, that we are going to come out with some coordinated strategy. But let's shift focus to some news from across the country. Now, there's been a significant dip in the cases in the national capital, but it has extended its lockdown by another week till 5 a.m. on 31st of May. Delhi Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal has said that unlock will take place, however, in a phased manner, depending on whether a similar situation or a dip continues. Now, after a day after suspending phase 3 of the vaccination drive, the AAP MLA Atishay has said that there will be no co-vaccine doses left for those above 45, frontline and healthcare workers in the national capital after Monday. Delhi government has written to a centre for procurement of these vaccines. Haryana government too has extended a lockdown till 31st of May. The state government, however, has eased some norms and allowed standalone shops to open during the day and others to open on alternate days. While states are floating global tenders for vaccines, the Punjab government has alleged that Moderna has refused to send vaccines directly to the state. Moderna has said it has only deals with the government of India and not the states or private players. 12 major opposition parties have extended support to the call given by the Samyukt Kisan Morcha for a national protest on 26th of May. Parties have called for the repeal of the farm laws and a law on minimum support price as per recommendations of the Swaminathan Commission. A Delhi court has sent Olympic wrestler Sushil Kumar to 6 days of police remand. He was arrested in connection with the murder of wrestler Sagar Dhankar. Sagar has been Sushil Kumar, in fact, has been absconding for over 2 weeks. Surajpur DM Ranveer Sharma has been transferred after a video of him slapping a young man who was out buying medicines went viral. He later apologized for his action. The United Arab Emirates has extended the ban on all flights to and from India till 14th of June. The curve was first put in place on 24th of April after a second wave surge. A 9-year-old's heartfelt request has pushed the Kodagu police in Karnataka into action. Ritikishika, the daughter of a COVID victim, has written to authorities pleading to find her mother's phone. She says that this phone contains memories of her mother.
ನಮ್ಮಮ್ಮ ಕನ್ನಡದಿಂದ ತಿಳ್ಕೊಂಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಅವ್ರ ಮೊಬೈಲ್ ಸಿಕ್ಕಿಲ್ಲ ದಯವಿಟ್ಟು ಹುಡ್ಕೊಡಿ ಅವ್ರ ಫೋಟೋ ನನ್ನ ಆನ್ಲೈನ್ ಕ್ಲಾಸಲ್ಲೇ ಇದೆ ನಮ್ಮಮ್ಮ ಕನ್ನಡದಿಂದ ತಿಳ್ಕೊಂಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಅವ್ರ ಮೊಬೈಲ್ ಸಿಕ್ಕಿಲ್ಲ ದಯವಿಟ್ಟು ಹುಡ್ಕೊಡಿ ಅವ್ರ ಫೋಟೋ ನನ್ನ ಆನ್ಲೈನ್ ಕ್ಲಾಸಲ್ಲೇ ಇದೆ.
Shifting focus to some international news, the pace of the inoculation drive in the United States has dropped within a month, and health experts are worried about what lies ahead as clusters of unvaccinated people may become infected with COVID as they move indoors to beat the summer heat. Here's a CNN special report.
From free drinks to free money.
If you needed one more good reason, then just go out and get vaccinated for your chance to win a share of this $2 million.
States are pulling out all the stops to get more shots in arms. The White House hooking up with several dating apps.
People who display their vaccination status are 14% more likely to get a match. We have finally found the one thing that makes us all more attractive, a vaccination.
More than 160 million people in the U.S. now have at least one shot. But the average daily pace of vaccinations is dropping fast, down nearly 50% since last month's peak.
We need to do whatever we can to give people a safe incentive to get vaccinated.
The South sparking new concerns. These 8 states among the 10 where less than half the adult population has received at least one dose.
Last summer, right around June, July, we saw a big surge of cases in the South. Why in the South? Because it gets pretty hot. It's hard to spend time outside. People cluster indoors. And if we have large numbers of unvaccinated people in those states, we may very well see a surge in those states.
One bright spot, take a deep breath. 12 to 15-year-olds account for nearly 25% of new vaccinations nationwide in the past week.
This is their shot to being teenagers. And by rolling up their sleeves, they actually help protect their parents, their teachers, their classmates, and their communities.
Average daily cases now under 30,000, the lowest level in nearly a year. And at one of the Bay Area's largest hospitals, no COVID patients for the first time in 14 months.
I did have tears in my eyes. It feels like a milestone.
Another milestone coming this Sunday when 15,000 fans will pack Madison Square Garden for Game 1 of the NBA playoffs.
This is what we've been waiting for, New York.
D.C. lifting most capacity limits today. Rhode Island dropping its remaining COVID restrictions a week early, thanks to vaccinations, as Americans adjust to yet another new normal.
So let us say you're going in a bus, you are having some itchy sensation. Most of the people, they get infected because they do not know how to handle the mask. They bring the mask like this, they will keep on scratching it. This is a sacred area. You cannot touch this area. Please understand. This is what is protecting you from the COVID virus. Now, obviously, if you are going in buses and all that, you need to wear a face shield also. Face shield protection must be there. And if you need to scratch anything, take a sanitizer, put some sanitizer, clean your hands. And then from inside, if you want, you can scratch something and then remove your hand again. So you have to get used to this behavior, because unless you get used to this behavior, at some point of time, you are going to get infected. Most people say that we are taking full precautions. Oh, we have taken full precautions. I still don't know how we got COVID. If you start questioning them, you will find that at some point of time, there is not a proper behavior what they have taken, and that is the reason they get into it. In addition, please take a face shield with you every day when you go for work. If carrying a face shield is mandatory, because the infection can get from your eyes also. So this seems to be very simple, but this is extremely important, because this is the first barrier for you to prevent from COVID happening.